of House Transportation Subcommittee Number 2, Transportation Infrastructure and Funding Committee meeting to order. I want to thank you all. Looks like we have quite a full docket today and quite a good amount of people in here, so thank you all for coming out today. We'll move right into ask the folks if they will please do attendance, open up the roll so we can record our attendance. Thank you. The first bill we'll hear today will actually Delegate LaRock. Move him to the front because I think he has another committee meeting he needs to attend to. So Delegate LaRock, you're HB 793, sir.
My notes say 792, Mr. Chairman, so 93?
793.
Thank you. Yep. I stand corrected. Thank you.
Is it amendment?
A little bit of background, Mr. Chairman, on the bill. The goal is to make VDOT emergency vehicles as effective as they can be. Virginia Department of Transportation traffic incident management vehicles utilize emergency lights and sounds. They feel that this will, they are not currently, they feel that this will improve their traffic incident management response times. Sometimes when these vehicles are moving to an incident, collision that may be obstructing traffic, they are limited by traffic, and obviously lights are what alert other drivers to move off to the side. Maryland Department of Transportation utilizes emergency traffic management vehicle reports an approximate 50% reduction in traffic incident management response time. So I think we clearly would agree that reduced downtime on a highway is beneficial for a variety of reasons. It would reduce also secondary incidents that would result from stopped traffic. So moving to the bill, Mr. Chairman, there is a substitute that I would ask that you would
move the substitute.
Accept. Thank you.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Delegate LaRock.
So I don't want to explain my bill that we have just laid a substitute over, except to say that I've offered this bill previously and actually in a more elaborate, a broader form, and that was very well received in 2019. The House voted it out 99-0. But through that experience and then more recently, and even the experience of Chairman Austin in presenting this bill in the past, there are interests that see benefit in limiting the use of certain lights on top of a vehicle mostly. And so for that reason, and a desire just to generally improve traffic incident management, the substitute mirrors a bill it has been introduced in the Senate and would significantly lessen the ask that we're coming to this committee for. So the substitute is before members. So lines 14 through 19 define what an incident management vehicle is. And unless the chairman feels the need, I won't go ahead and read that. It's kind of self-explanatory. Probably the most important language here is on lines 22 through 24. And that's where you'll see some italics that we are seeking to include these VDOT vehicles in this section of code that would allow them to use the lights that are already used by other vehicles. And we would add, so that would, I'll read that section, and that is traffic incident management vehicle may be equipped with alternating, blinking, or flashing red or white secondary warning lights mounted inside the vehicle's taillights. And again, that's existing law. We're asking to add headlights to that so that these VDOT incident management vehicles would have that a little bit of a distinction. And then I'm going beyond the italics, or marker lights of a type approved by the superintendent of the state police. The section below that, 25 through 29, outlines the training that would accompany would the different people that would be potentially using these vehicles would be trained with interest in public safety. And I think that on line 47, there's just another repeat of, it actually, while responding to traffic incidents, which I guess means that a VDOT vehicle can't use them in anything other than an emergency situation. So, Mr. Chairman, I hope I've explained that in a way that's generally understandable, and I'll cut it off there. And
Yes, sir, thank you, and I know it's been around in years past and past this body. So is anyone here to speak in favor of the bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, David Skiles with Vector Corporation representing Transurban, which is the operator of the express lanes in Northern Virginia. Really appreciate Delegate LaRocque bringing this bill and substitute. As folks know, Transurban actually operates our Express Assist, which assists motorists that are stranded on the express lanes or broken down the express lanes. And for many years, we have struggled with the issue of safety for those vehicles. And so we think this bill is a good step. I was taking a look at the code earlier today. There's over a dozen different types of vehicles that are allowed to have flashing red primary lights. As Delegate LaRocque explained, this is only secondary. And so we think this is a really good step to protecting not only the operators of those vehicles, but the motorists that they're trying to assist. We appreciate the committee's support of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Skiles. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Jennifer Wally with Troutman Pepper. I appreciate your time today. On behalf of Loudoun County, we support the bill and would like to align our comments with Mr. Skiles and thank Delegate LaRocque for all his hard work on this legislation.
Thank you. Anyone here to speak? Anyone else? Speak in favor of the bill. Anyone speak in opposition to the bill? Please come forward, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Ed Rhodes representing the 13,000 members of the Virginia Association of Rescue Squads and the other EMS agencies in the state that run up and down the road every day. We have opposed this bill every time Delegate LaRocque has put it in, and also Senator Boysko, because we feel that the lights nullify what EMS and fire already have built in as what we do. Fire is usually there first. They have the big trucks, the red lights, they protect the scene, and the ambulances come with red lights and siren. The original bill dilutes the red lights for the true emergency vehicles. During a meeting the other day with Loudoun Fire Chief and other people in emergency services, I asked the question if they had been to the statewide Traffic Incident Management Council, and they didn't even know what it was. That council meets regularly, all the time. They teach classes all the time. Two of my people taught a class in Stanton this last weekend. Maximum in the class is 12. They had 13. So these folks teach it. I've only seen a glimpse and taken a picture of the substitute. Right now, I'm going to stay opposed to it until I read it and get with my folks and see how they feel about it. And I think by the time it comes to full committee, we may change our position. But it's a good faith effort. We like it. We want to work with Delegate LaRocque. We've always worked with him. So that's our position.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else to speak against? Delegate Reed, you had a question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a couple questions, if that's okay. So the first one for Delegate LaRocque. So do you feel that the substitute of your bill has addressed the concerns that he has raised?
I think very likely they have. I hesitate to speak for the gentleman, but to a large degree.
Okay. And then the second question, Mr. Chairman, is I know that there's a part of this in here that identifies vehicles, taillights, headlights, and marker lights as approved by the superintendent of state police. Have you talked with the state police, or is there somebody here from the state police to speak as to whether or not they're okay, supportive, or non-committal on this particular piece of legislation?
didn't see either VDOT or the state police respond to speak for or against. Certainly the chairman can invite that, but I'm in past, again, hesitant to speak, but I think VDOT has been very much in favor of even the broader version of this bill. And Major Maxey, I honestly don't recall, but if he's here, obviously he can speak to that himself. If he's chosen not to, perhaps that's an answer in itself.
Any delegate read anything? Thank you. Hold on one second. Major Maxey, you want to respond? And maybe to the patron too, explain EVOC training and those kind of things. I'm sure folks won't be able to just get out on the interstates without some kind of training that use these lights. You want to elaborate on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ron Maxey, Major Virginia State Police. These lights would just be changing the color. The location on them would not change any approval process from the color lights that they're running now, the amber colored lights. So we have no position on this. It's just the color, what's acceptable by code.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I would
Sure, you want to wrap it up?
be more than glad to read Section C, unless everyone has already read that. Just drawing your attention to the training that would be required before someone would be able to operate a vehicle with these lights on them. And so in the interest of time, I'll leave that up to the chairman.
Did that satisfy your concerns?
So one item I did forget, and I didn't see it in the substitute. He looked for it, he didn't see it. They took the sirens out of it.
Okay.
All right, EVOC is Emergency Vehicle Operators Course. I taught the course for 25 years. It's a 24-hour class, and first day you learn the codes, the second day you learn to drive.
Okay.
Through the common course, and it's not high-speed training.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Committee operates on motions.
Second.
With the substitute? Yep.
Second.
There you go. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Delegate LaRock, your second bill?
That's the smart scale,
HB 1113.
and that has to do with smart scale.
Yes, sir.
I would request that the committee continue that, pass it by indefinitely, or lay it on the table, whichever designation.
Do you want it struck, Mr. Chairman?
Strike the bill.
Motion to strike the bill.
Second.
Is that a voice vote or? You're taking it. Okay. Can you open the roll, please, clerk? Wrong one. So the vote is on HB 1113 to strike that bill. Now, Tata Carr.
1113.
Yes, ma'am. Motion passes 6-1. Okay. 7-0. Is that it? That was our intention? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Delegate LaRock. The next one is the Chairman's Bill. We're going to take out of order HB 482, Delegate Austin, Chairman, Commonwealth Transportation Board Performance Standards for review and certain plans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee, I'd like to offer some line amendments, and Ms. Buck has those amendments. I don't know if you'd like her to read them or not, but they're available.
Motion to move the amendments?
Motion to move amendment. Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this is a bill, Bill 482 is VDOT performance metrics. It establishes performance metrics to measure the efficiency of Virginia Department of Transportation review and approval of residential and commercial development plans. These are metrics would be developed by the department and with its responsibility at gathering information at the residency district and statewide levels include the length of time that it takes for the department to review plans from the data the plans are received, from the date the plans are received in the local VDOT office until comments are returned to local government, and the number of reviews that are required to achieve final approval plans. After several years of collecting the data, the department shall use the data points to establish performance standards for which the review and approval of residential and commercial developments plans by January 1 of 2025. The amendment also provides that the department shall submit a report of the original performance standards developed to the chairman of the CTB. This is a bill brought to me by the Home Builders Association. We work with VDOT. What we're doing is trying to improve the process and to streamline it and make it more efficient for developers and VDOT. I'll be happy to answer any questions, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, thank you. Any questions from committee members? Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill?
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association of Virginia. Thank you, patron, for carrying the bill and love your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone to speak in opposition to the bill?
Move to report as amended.
Second.
Please open the roll. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next bill, we'll go right to the top, HB 31, Delegate Campbell's bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And
Members,
if I may add, we do have some folks that have signed up to speak virtually. When we get to those, I'll make comment. We'll allow the folks that speak virtual at the end. So I know some of the bills now do have folks that have signed up to speak virtually. Thank you. Sorry. Please proceed.
okay, I bring you House Bill number 31 with an amendment. Can we do that first? The second paragraph in the bill, the very end of it, it has in downtown Lexington. Could we strike those three words from the bill? This is what we're trying to avoid is downtown Lexington, and I definitely don't want that to be in there. This is a bill that is directed to the Department of Transportation.
Mr. Chairman, so that's the amendment. You want to strike that?
Strike it.
Move the amendment.
All in favor? Thank you. Go ahead, proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. It directs the Department of Transportation to get together with the Federal Highway Administration and the Special Committee on U.S. Route Numbering of the American Association of State Highways and Transportation Officials to plan a renumber of U.S. Route 60 as follows. U.S. Route 60 shall run concurrently with Interstate 64 from exit 50 Lexington Curtis Creek to exit 55 Lexington, Virginia at the Horse Center exit, and concurrently with U.S. Route 11 from exit 55 of Interstate 64 to the intersection of existing Route 60. The portion of U.S. Route 60 between East 50 Lexington to Curtis Creek and Interstate 64 to the intersection of U.S. Route 11 shall be renumbered U.S. Route 850. Now, what this bill is all about is Lexington is an historic city. And if any of you have ever driven in Lexington, I know one of you grew up in Buena Vista, but if you've driven in Lexington, the streets are very narrow. And if you're in a car, you have to be careful. But if you have a tractor-trailer truck, it is dangerous. And we're having vehicles coming across the mountains on Route 60 that are running GPS. And a GPS keeps them on Route 60 right into downtown Lexington to take them out to the Curtis Creek exit where they get on Interstate 64. Now, Interstate 64 from the West Virginia line to exit 50 is routes I-64, Route 60 combined. When they built the road, they actually took Route 60 out and they put them together. So what we're asking is this 5-mile portion that would take trucks around Lexington be renumbered Route Interstate I-64, Route 60. And this would solve the problem of the trucks coming with GPS. It will actually take a lot of vehicles out of downtown, but this is the main reason for this bill right now. And with that, anybody have any questions?
Thank you, sir. Anyone have any questions for the delegate? Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill? Yes, Delegate Murphy.
Mr. Chairman, Delegate, so this was a bill we saw last year, I think. So
Yes, it was killed last year.
So
I'm sorry.
You changed it to
Not last year. This is the identical bill
the identical bill.
from last year.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And is this being brought by the city of Lexington or?
Yes, moving 60 out of Lexington, up Route 11 and on to 64.
Right, but the city of Lexington is,
We do have the mayor that's going to speak in just a minute.
right, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone here to speak in favor of this bill? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? We do have a virtual, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Friedman from Lexington, welcome. You want to give us your thoughts on this bill?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the committee, thank you for hearing this bill. And I just wanted to add my 2 cents worth. The origin of this comes from pulpwood trucks and other forest products specifically that have been rerouted off of Interstate 64 from 50 to 55, as the delegate indicated. Bringing those large tractor trailers and with extra weight through town, they cross no less than 10 crosswalks on Route 60 coming through town. That passes by at least 1 elementary school, 1 middle school, 2 preschools, 3 churches, and W&L academic buildings as well. And as it proceeds through Lexington, there's one bridge over Woods Creek, which is not a young bridge and not a wide bridge. So the burden on that is pretty substantial as well. So do recommend and support this bill in hopes of getting the tractor trailer traffic specifically off Route 60.
Okay. Any questions for the mayor? Mr. Mayor, I do have one. Has the locality ever looked at an ordinance to restrict truck traffic through the city of Lexington?
We do have some restrictions on the size of, I believe it's delivery trucks, but it's a result of they're not authorized to travel on from exit 50 to 55 and are required to come this way. So we're not able to restrict their travel. This is what's been designated as their path.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? VDOT, they're here. Do you?
Mr. Chair, Joanne Maxwell from VDOT. We have concerns with this legislation. In particular, we're not sure that the legislation will accomplish what is actually intended, but more so, based on the testimony that just heard, the concern we have is that the primary motivation or concern on part of the locality, and we're not unsympathetic to that, is that these overweight vehicles are driving through the town, and the thought is that they would be rerouted onto the interstate. Federal law, based on what we know about these vehicles, would prohibit these vehicles from operating on the interstate.
Okay.
And so our concern is, even though we're rerouting 60 to run concurrent with the interstate rules would still prevail. And so that's our concern. That truly is the intent. We would be concerned about having or creating a situation where overweight vehicles are tempted to operate on the interstate in violation of the law.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the input. Anything else? Delegate Loxon?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to follow up.
Okay.
I have a question for VDOT. So what would be the route if you couldn't go through town and you couldn't go, well, how many miles would you be added to a round trip to get, if you couldn't go on the interstate and you didn't allow them through town? Do we have a clue how?
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna qualify my answer with caution, but my understanding potentially 80 miles. It would be quite a distance, an additional distance.
And I think the mayor wanted to comment on the question.
In discussions about that exact question, trucks would be rerouted down to Botetourt to catch 220 and then around 220 to 64. I don't know exact mileage, but I would say it'd be in excess of 50 miles.
All right, thank you.
Delegate Campbell, you wanted to comment
Yes, what I wanted
on
to
that?
say was
VDOT's response.
the trucks that are operating under permit go out Route 60 to Curtis Creek and get on Interstate 64 where the roads are combined. All I'm asking for is to allow them to do it 5 miles earlier so we can get them out of downtown Lexington before somebody gets run over. Cars are being damaged almost weekly down there from trucks knocking mirrors and stuff off. And I just want to get them out of town before somebody gets hit or killed.
Delegate Murphy. Sure.
If these trucks are too heavy for the interstate, why are they not too heavy to go over small bridges and smaller roads? I don't get it.
Mr. Chair, they possibly, if the bridge is posted, then I would presume that they are not violating the postings. So if a bridge would be posted, and if the bridge is not posted, then they would not be violating the posting or the capacity of the bridge.
Mr. Chairman.
I have worked with Ms. Maxwell and with the delegates and yourself, and I think it's in the best interest that this bill be laid gently on the table. And we work with Mrs. Maxwell to confirm that the Federal Highway Administration is in agreement with what we're doing before we put legislation in place that the Federal Highway Administration may take exception to. And I think I'm willing to write a letter as chairman of the Transportation Board, if the patrons are willing to accept that, to ask VDOT to work through this solution. Let's get a consensus. Let's get something that we know that we put in place can be signed and permitted and move forward before we put something in place that cannot.
Okay.
I would suggest to the patron that he allow that process to be accepted.
Delegate Alston has a very viable option here, which I will willingly accept because I'll do whatever we can do to get this problem corrected.
Thank you. Ms. Maxwell, can we get a commitment from you all to work with the locality, Delegate Campbell, and the chairman to write a letter to see if we can't get this resolved? It sounds like it's been going on for quite a while, and we need all parties to come together.
So I move that we gently lay the bill on the table and with a letter from the chairman to VDOT.
Thank you. Second. Can you please open the roll? So the bill will be laid on the table. Vote of 8-0.
Mr. Chairman, committee, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for joining us today.
Thank you, and thank you for your service to our state.
And next bill is HB 138, Delegate McQuinn's bill. Central Virginia Transportation Authority membership.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I got too many papers. House Bill 138 is a bill about asking that the Richmond International Airport be added as a non-voting member to the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. As a non-voting member to the Central Virginia Transportation Authority, the Richmond International Airport would keep the CVTA fully informed of airport activities which might have an impact on Central Virginia transportation planning. We have been through this process before where other entities was added as a non-voting member, and so we're asking that the authority be given to them to do likewise, again, adding them as a voice at the table and understanding clearly the plans and the transportation plans at the airport. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Delegate
Chairman.
McQuinn. Any questions from committee members? Anyone here to speak in favor of this bill?
Mr. Chairman, I'm Peter Broadbent with Christian Barton Firm representing Richmond International Airport, and we thank the delegate very much for her leadership in introducing the bill, and we urge you to support it.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor of this bill? Anyone to speak in opposition of this bill? We do not have anyone in queue. We do have folks in queue.
Second.
All in favor, please record your vote.
Thank you. Thank you, members.
Passes 8-0. Thank you, Delegate McQueen.
Thank you.
Your next bill?
Yes, thank you, sir.
HB 142.
Thank you. Yeah, House Bill 142 is a transit ridership incentive program. This is program is a statewide grant program dedicated to improving the regional connectivity in urban areas with a population of excess of 100,000 people, and also reducing the barriers to transit use by supporting low income and zero fare programming. This is something that has been in effect, and there are resources that have been made available during the first round of funding. Matter of fact, in 2021, the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation received 10 applications and awarded $22.5 million in zero fare, low income grants over a 3-year period. And they also receive additional applications. And so the purpose of this bill, again, is to better balance the TRIP program and to allow for greater flexibility for the current need in the time of COVID and whatnot. And this bill does not require any funding. So I would hope that the committee would support this effort. And I do know there are individuals here to speak to it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate McQuinn. Any questions from committee members? Folks here to speak in favor of the bill? Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Jennifer Mitchell, Director of the Department of Rail and Public Transportation. We do not have an official position on the bill at this time. However, Secretary Miller has asked his staff to work with DRPT to understand the components of the bill and the program a little bit more, so we'd love to continue to work with the patron as we go through.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the bill?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Lisa Guthrie with the Virginia Transit Association, and we thank the delegate for introducing that bill. We're very strongly supporting it. And just to point out, in case there's any question about it, the bill was a component of the Omnibus Bill of 2020, and it receives 6% of the Commonwealth's Mass Transit Fund. And as written, 25% was established as a cap for the free and reduced fare, and 75% was for the regional connectivity component of the program. And that was pre-COVID. Since COVID, the needs have changed. There's more demand for free and reduced because of the strains of individuals trying to get to the job site that can't commute from home. By the same token, commuting has been reduced. People are working from home more. So this is merely to rebalance the program. It is not asking for additional money, as the delegate mentioned, but it is allowing the program to meet the needs and can be adjusted according to the applications for a given year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else speak in favor of this bill?
Good afternoon. I'm Trip Pollard with the Southern Environmental Law Center, and I think Delegate McQuinn's already explained the bill well. On the comments with Ms. Guthrie, this is just going to add some flexibility. As much needed to provide for low and not their incomes. It's good for the economy. It's good for air quality, and it's good for equity. I urge you to support it.
Anyone else? We do have some virtual folks here. Folks signed into virtual. Who do we have first?
Mr. Chairman, we have Julie Tim.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, distinguished chair and committee members. I am Julie Tim, the CEO of Greater Richmond Transit Company. In 2020, with the onset of COVID, we did launch a zero fare operations in the RVA region to support the health of our operators, our riders, and the greater community. Continuation of that zero fare operations on our local bus routes has been the greatest factor in the rebound of our local bus ridership to 7 to 10% greater than pre-COVID levels and the return of our economy, while most other agencies across the country are still operating with greatly reduced ridership numbers. The proposed amendments for the TRIP program will provide an opportunity for other jurisdictions across the Commonwealth to independently study and model the costs and impacts of fare collection systems and possibly zero fare applications on their local economic growth potential, their local workforce development, and the needs of all their community members, especially those who live with fixed or limited incomes, including our essential workforce, our parents and retirees, our veterans, and all of our neighbors who face mobility limitations. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, ma'am. Then we have Mr. Gordon. See next.
Hello, my name is, thank you, Chair and Committee, for having me. My name is Wyatt Gordon. I'm speaking on behalf of Virginia Conservation Network. I'd like to agree with everything the previous speakers in favor have already said, and also highlight that we have a number of rural transit providers across Virginia that actually charge just a quarter for fares. They actually end up spending more money per year to collect fares than they generate from the quarters that they get. So this is just a program that would make it possible for more transit providers across the Commonwealth to actually save money, especially in rural places where they are especially hard pressed for resources. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And then Faith Harris. Good evening, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. We urge you to support HB 142. This legislation is important to many of our faith communities and their constituents. Providing access to more funding for reduced and zero fare programs will make it possible for additional transit authorities to initiate projects in their regions and to extend and expand those currently in place. The transportation sector is one of the largest contributors to U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. In addition, our efforts to address climate change, we need to reduce emissions from the transportation sector, and by decreasing single-use vehicles and increasing public transit use among all demographics. We believe this legislation will positively impact the interests of essential workers, mothers and their children, senior citizens who rely on public transit services to reach jobs, food, healthcare, and other critical community resources. Increased public transit access will raise the quality of life of your constituents and businesses in your districts as well. Public transit access is a common good benefiting all of us. And when we prioritize access and mobility for residents, job seekers, tourists, shoppers, and those attending worship, cultural, and educational events, we attract investments and new spending which spurs economic growth on every level. And I just urge you to support HB 142, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much for sharing those comments. Anyone else to speak in favor of this bill? Anyone in opposition to this bill?
Move to report.
Second. Bill passes 8-0. Thank you, Delegate McQuinn.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Have a good evening.
No, we're going to hold it to the end. We're going to hold this next bill, HB 75. You ready to? Yep. Okay. Go ahead, Delegate Coiner.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I have before you House Bill 275, originally adopted by the Commonwealth Transportation Board in 2009 and subsequently amended in 2011. The Secondary Street Acceptance Regulations, SSAR, established design criteria and construction standards for a road to be accepted into VDOT secondary road system and maintained by VDOT. Those regulations require Currently, that new developments provide connectivity between adjacent developments and undeveloped parcels. That includes connections to an existing publicly maintained street, adjacent property, or stub outs that allow for a future street connection. For example, when a proposed new development abuts a VDOT maintained stub out, the road network of new development must connect to every stub in order for its streets to be accepted into the secondary system. Currently, the regulations recognize that connectivity is not always feasible and allows for grant to modification of the requirements, but it is only when not environmentally feasible or deemed unsafe. There's the limited ability for that flexibility. This restriction significantly limits the ability for local government and the development community to work together to design subdivision road networks in a way that is economically feasible and addresses concerns of adjacent property owners that may have different opinion as to how many of those stub connections should be made. The requirement also increases the amount of impervious surface in new subdivisions and significantly increases the cost of homes. So House Bill 275 makes a minor amendment to the enabling statute for SSAR to allow local governments, the development community, and VDOT flexibility to reduce the number of connections to existing stub outs when deemed appropriate. The bill further directs VDOT to convene a stakeholder group to formulate what that flexibility should look like and be provided, and to develop consensus for long-term changes to those regulations. These changes would ultimately be evaluated and acted on by the CTB. I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee has.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Reed.
Yes, question for the paper. Delegate Corner, I'm looking at the bill. Does the bill actually identify who's going to be in the stakeholder group?
It does not. It just directs the Commonwealth Transportation. It directs the Department of Transportation to convene a group. It says representatives from the department, local government, and the residential and commercial land development and construction industry.
A follow-up question. So would in somewhere in that grouping, would there be a opportunity for folks who are concerned about environmental impact to be included as well?
I'm sure we would welcome their participation. Delegate Reed.
Anyone here speak in favor of this bill?
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Right. All right. We'll start over. Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association of Virginia. Support the bill and thank the patron for bringing it. Just to reiterate, it makes a minor change to the statute, but more importantly, brings together all the stakeholders who, in many instances, would agree the additional flexibility is warranted to figure out how to actually incorporate that into the regulations. So happy to answer any questions and would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Anyone else speak in favor of the bill? Ms. Maxwell, first, hold on, anyone in here to speak in opposition to the bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Hunter Jamerson, I represent the Virginia League of Conservation Voters and the Southern Environmental Law Center. Appreciate the opportunity to meet and speak with Delegate Coyner on this bill, as well as Mr. Clark and the Home Builders. Understand the purpose of the bill. We're concerned about the approach taken here, which does seem to predetermine the need for regulatory change without giving the agency an opportunity to assess this, perhaps through the work group that's proposed in enactment 2 to develop some recommendations and through the regulatory process adopt any appropriate flexibility as the bill proposes to direct and code. These connectivity regulations are significant. They really are the only nexus between transportation policy and land use policy in the VDOT regulations. And I'm very concerned about the directive to potentially undermine those provisions with open-ended flexibility as directed by the code. These provisions are in place to safeguard taxholder dollars. It is expensive in the alternative to a connectivity between the highway and the residential road. They also provide access for EMS and other important vehicular travel. Finally, I would note that if the bill is to proceed, Mr. Chairman, as Delegate Reed identified, that there's not presently an opportunity for instance, an environmental voice on this work group, and I would hope an amendment could be made to do so if the bill is to proceed. Thank you.
Anyone else speak in opposition to the bill? Ms. Maxwell, do you come forward? Do we not have a position on this bill, or how will it affect you all?
Mr. Chair, no, VDOT does not have a position on this bill. We certainly could do what the bill asks and pull together the work group, make recommendations to the Commonwealth Transportation Board for changes to the regulations. So we will invite whoever is interested in participating, and we'll make sure that we get all of those involved that we can.
Mr. Chairman, a question for the patron. To address my question and the concern from the League of Conservation Voters, would you be receptive to a friendly amendment that after the word local government included an environmental representative, comma, and then that way hopefully this can move forward, and it can move forward quickly through the full Transportation Committee?
That's a friendly amendment, Mr. Chair. I accept that as a friendly amendment.
So for council, it would be after local government, where the comma is, add an environmental representative and then another comma. And so I move that amendment.
All in favor? Who on the amendment? Aye. Opposed? I move the report. Bill and roll. Next is HB 436, Delegate to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee, I present to you HB 436. This bill amends and reenacts Code Section 33.2-214.3 to ensure the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board is invited to participate in and present during the joint public meeting of transportation entities serving Planning District 8. At least once a year, members of the Commonwealth Transportation Board, Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, and the Virginia Railway Express convene for a public meeting. The meeting serves as an annual opportunity to provide an update on all projects proposed or underway in Planning District 8, which includes the cities of Alexandria, Falls Church, Fairfax, Manassas, and Manassas Park, as well as the counties of Arlington, Fairfax, Loudoun, and Prince William. As you may know, the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board, abbreviated TPB, plays a vital role in the metropolitan area as a lone transportation planning organization. It is responsible for several regional multimodal transportation projects, working with local, state, regional, and federal partners. The TPB coordinates future plans, provides data analysis to decision makers, and coordinates regional programs to advance safety and land use coordination. As the federal designated metropolitan planning organization for the National Capital Region, which includes all localities located within Planning District 8, it is essential that the regional transportation policy framework and forum for coordination among stakeholders, as well as technical resources for all involved in the decision-making process in the transportation projects in the region. Mr. Chairman, we see it fit for TPB to be included in the joint meeting for Planning District 8, as they play an instrumental role in the overall transportation infrastructure of the region. I truly believe that TPB's insight will make for a vital addition to the annual convening of Planning District 8 to the benefit of residents and stakeholders by only further increasing transparency and coordination of the land use. Therefore, I hope it is the pleasure of the committee to report HB 436.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually have a question if the Executive Director for NVTC is available for a question, because I know that I serve on NVTC as well as the Transportation Planning Board, and y'all usually coordinate this annual event. So I'm assuming that this is something that you're in agreement with to include the Transportation Planning Board as part of this?
So we actually do not have a position, just that what we.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kate Mattice, Northern Virginia Transportation Commission. Indeed, the legislation does involve a number of different organizations involved in this public meeting in Northern Virginia. It does not include the Transportation Planning Board in the National Capital Region. All of the entities are currently Virginia only, so we do not have a position because the National Transportation Board includes Maryland and DC as well, so we don't currently have a position on this.
A follow-up question. But it would not be, I mean, it would actually sync up and it would fit well with the form that you do now, because there are things that overlap between NVTC, NVTA, and the Transportation Planning Board.
Indeed, Mr. Chair, there are areas that overlap in terms of Virginia alone. I do not know currently the position of the Transportation Planning Board on this. If they would be willing to participate, you definitely would need to ask them. But indeed, they do have projects in Virginia that follow in this jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. May do that. Can you now invite them to come to your meeting? Does this take legislation to invite the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board?
So the invitation, I am not a lawyer, and so having them come and have a table or present, I don't see how there would be a prohibition of doing that.
Mr. Chairman, if I might possibly answer that, I think we have this code that actually outlines who should be or who shall be invited, and I think the intent, if I'm speaking for correctly for the delegate, is to just basically expand that invitation list, because we already have it in code that says these others shall be invited. That and I'm probably getting ahead and speaking in favor of it, but I do think that there's value in this, because again, I serve on a couple of these and there is a lot of overlap where there are things that are being done at the Transportation Planning Board that would apply to NVTC.
Yes, so it was referenced earlier that it was unclear what the stance of the Commonwealth Transportation Planning Board would be with regards to this. I've actually spoken directly with the Secretary Designee for Transportation, who was supportive but could not take a stance on behalf of the department. We've also been notified for other members of the board. And it also should just be noted in general that the Transportation Planning Board was initially established in 1965 with the assistance of localities and the state government. And there are 2 individuals from the General Assembly who currently serve on the TPB board, to include Delegate Reed.
Do they attend the meetings now?
No, they are not included. With regards to TPB,
it's a public meeting?
It is a public meeting for the general public, but they are unable to present as they are not one of the invited presenters. Therefore, they are not able to provide any sort of input or insight.
But you could invite them if you needed them to present, and you don't need to put this in code?
Mr. Chairman, with response to that, I would refer to the delegate and just simply say that currently the code outlines who shall be invited, and to ensure that we are abiding by the Code of Virginia, we would like to include this addition.
Anyone here to speak in favor of this bill? Anyone to speak in opposition to this bill?
I believe we have a virtual participant.
We do have one virtual. Mr. Alan Lechnick.
I'm unmuted.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear if you're calling on me to speak.
Go ahead, sir, in reference to HB 436.
Yes, I'm having difficulty hearing you, but my name is Alan Muchnick. I live in the city of Manassas, and I've been a transportation advocate for the past 30 years, and followed the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board for that time. For 20 years, I was on the Citizens Advisory Committee for that body. I wanted to thank the patron for introducing this bill. I really appreciate the fact that we now have these joint annual meetings with these other transportation bodies besides the CTB at all in one place. But the absence of the TPB is very significant. It is the federally designated regional transportation planning body for the Washington region, including PDC 8. It does have a long-range transportation plan, which is fiscally constrained, called Visualize 2045, which is currently being updated. They do a host of planning activities, and they also have several funding programs, transportation funding programs, including part of the Transportation Alternative Set-Aside and some federal programs for public transportation, and some smaller planning grants as well. So I think it would be a benefit for the public, the agencies, and local elected officials to have the benefit of the expertise of the Transportation Planning Board at these regional meetings. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the ability to comment.
Thank you, sir. Looks like we don't have any other one in queue to speak. Any follow-up, or you want to close?
Mr. Chairman, I just simply ask that the members of the subcommittee recognize the importance of the addition of the the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board to the addition of the annual meeting of the Commonwealth Transportation Board and its other partners.
Thank you. The committee operates on motions.
Substitute motion.
Substitute, what is your substitute motion?
To lay the bill gently on the table, sir. I just don't see the need for putting a Maryland entity or a national capital region on a Virginia board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor to gently lay the bill on the table, so please vote. The motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
5-3 to gently lay the bill on the table. Thank you, Delegate. The next bill is HB 456, Delegate Bennett Parker, Virginia Passenger Rail Authority membership.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. HB 456 is a bill that changes a may to a shall, but still maintains discretion and choice when selecting 6 of the members of the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority, or VPRA. The VPRA is responsible for promoting, sustaining, and expanding the availability of passenger and commuter rail service in the Commonwealth. The Virginia Railway Express, or VRE, is the only commuter rail in Virginia and is jointly owned by the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission and the Potomac-Rappahannock Transportation Commission. That is why the code currently states that 3 members shall reside within the boundaries of the NVTC and 3 shall reside within the boundaries of the PRTC. Decisions made by the VPRA will have significant consequences for the service provided by VRE. Adopting the change in the bill before you will ensure that the representatives of the VRE transportation districts on VPRA are deeply knowledgeable about commuter rail, which is fundamental not only to VRE's continued success, but to the effective stewardship of taxpayer dollars. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope the subcommittee will report the bill.
Any questions for the patron? Delegate Wiley.
Thank you. As the way it's done right now, the governor makes the call on this. Is that correct?
That's correct. Currently, of the 12 citizen members of the bill, 3 must reside within each of those 2 districts that I mentioned. They may be considered from a list provided by the transportation commissions. This would change it to 3 of those members should be selected from a list of at least 6 people.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Delegate Reed.
For the patron, this is not, this is a question, this is not the first time that this particular suggestion has come up. I'm just trying to clarify that this is not a Democratic or Republican suggestion. Is that correct?
Correct. As the former chair of VRE, I can tell you that we have been interested in this change since the first round of appointments made by the previous administration. I believe there are folks here to.
Anyone here to speak in favor of this bill?
Mr.
Hold on, sir.
Oh, yes, he can go first. I was going to say, there's somebody online, I think if he can go, that would be
Yes.
great, actually.
Okay.
Yes, perfect.
We'll go ahead and allow Mr. James Walkinshaw,
Thank-
the Board of Supervisors. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is James Walkinshaw. I represent the Braddock District on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors and chair our board's legislative committee. I want to thank you and the members of the General Assembly for your diligent work at the beginning of this session. I also serve as the vice chair of the VRE Operations Board and as a commissioner on the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission. And I want to speak in support of Delegate Bennett Parker's bill HB 456. And as she eloquently noted, this has been a priority of the VRE Operations Board and NVTC since the establishment of the VPRA. And you might have Director Mitchell there with you, and I'm sure she'll share that this is an issue that we debated with the Northam administration, so it absolutely is not a partisan issue or something that we've come up with after Governor Youngkin's election. And one thing I'll point out is that in 2019, before the pandemic, there were 6 million passenger and commuter rail rides in the Commonwealth of Virginia in that calendar year. 4.5 million of those trips were on VRE. The remaining 1.6, 1.5 million were on Amtrak. And thanks to your work, Mr. Chair, and the bipartisan support of this committee and Governor Northam, and I'm sure Governor Youngkin, we know those numbers are going to continue to rise as we emerge from the pandemic. And here in Northern Virginia, it's really important that VRE riders, who make up the majority of rail riders in the Commonwealth of Virginia, have a real voice on the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority. And our position on this has nothing to do with any of the current members that Governor Northam appointed, or presumably anything to do with any of those that Governor Youngkin might appoint. It's a principle of making sure that our constituents and our riders are represented. The VPRA will make extremely important decisions about the use of tracks that run throughout the Commonwealth, including in Northern Virginia. And if we all succeed in our efforts to increase ridership, there's going to be competition over time over who will get to use those tracks, VRE, Amtrak, freight. And it's really important that we codify a real voice for VRE riders vis-a-vis their parent commissions of NVTC and PRTC. I'll wrap up there. I know you all have a long docket to get through today. I thank you for your time and for giving me the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Siebert, you had a comment about another one in favor?
We support the bill on behalf of VRE and MBTC, but the supervisor said everything we were going to say, so I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? Director Mitchell?
Thank you. Jennifer Mitchell, Director of the Department of Rail and Public Transportation, also Chair of the VPRA Board. The administration is in opposition of this bill. We do recognize the special role that NVTC and PRTC do play with commuter rail in Northern Virginia in the fact that they are allowed to recommend appointments to the board, but we do believe this would unnecessarily restrict the governor's authority to be able to make those appointments.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else in opposition to the bill? Delegate, you want to wrap up, or any comment on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hearing concerns about that, I would like to offer a line amendment that would require that only one of the members, rather than all three, be selected from a list of at least 6 people for each of the districts.
Okay.
Move that.
A motion to move the amendment to allow one,
Correct, one.
and the other two
The other 2 would be
at the governor's discretion.
correct, and they would the one would still be at the governor's discretion. It would be one selected from a list of at least 6 people provided by NBTC or PRTC.
All in favor of the amendment? Pass the amendment. Aye. Opposed? No. Amendment fails. Delegate Bloxham, do you?
Yeah, I have a motion.
Delegate Bloxham.
Substitute motion. Move to general.
Hold on a second, please. Okay, your motion is to report? Okay, second.
Substitute motion
Substitute motion.
is generally lay the bill on the table.
Is there a second? Second. We'll deal with the substitute motion first. Please open the roll. To gently lay the bill on the table. The motion to gently lay the bill on the table passes 5-3. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee.
The next bill is HB 546, Delegate Rome's bill. Transportation funding surplus in proposed budget.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the members of the subcommittee here. And if Chairman Austin does come back, he'll have a comment to make just regarding a potential chairman's letter that he's discussed. Mr. Chair, and to the... I'm sorry, Delegate Wiley. So what I would say is if Chairman Austin returns to the room, he might have something to say about potentially writing a chairman's letter from the Transportation Committee. But basically, I'll proceed with presenting the bill, discuss the importance of it. I've got some amendments that VDOT has suggested as well, by the way. And from there, we'll just kind of go and see what happens. So, Mr. Chairman, and to the members of the subcommittee, HB 546 would create the Commonwealth of Virginia's Transportation Safety Fund. The fund would take 10% of surplus funds not already constitutionally obligated for reserve environmental funds and apply it to fix dangerous intersections and road crossings often overlooked by smart-scale and regional funding authorities. We worked extensively with VDOT on this bill and likewise have an amendment requested on their behalf. In each of our districts, for every member who's actually sitting up here today, as well as myself, we can all identify dangerous intersections where our constituents either nearly get killed, they do get killed, they get hurt because they are either crossing the road as pedestrians, they are on bikes when you have incomplete bike lanes, or you just have significantly dangerous intersections where you can ask for money over and over again, nothing comes, and the problem does not get solved. We can start solving this problem by prioritizing spot improvements that don't usually receive funding from statewide or regional funding sources. Localities would apply for funding through a process established by the Secretary of Transportation. Finally, I'd like to close with the idea that fatalities in 2021 in Virginia were terrible. 960 traffic fatalities, including 124 pedestrians and 16 bicyclists killed. All were up from 2020. HB 546 would create the first and only fund singularly focused on making improvements to dangerous intersections and road crossings that will prevent loss of life and injury at the hyper-local level. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Delegate Rome. Any questions for the patron?
Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Wiley.
Thank you. Delegate Rome, thank you for your presentation. VDOT is all about transportation safety. I'd like to get her comment. And in my neck of the woods, I'd love 10% for funding for transportation to push transportation improvements for other needs. And certainly I respect the patron for the safety side of it, but I'd like to hear VDOT's point of view because we have bicyclists out in my neck of the woods on roads that are so tight. If there's a tractor trailer or, a farm implement vehicle coming down the road, there is zero room when they're doing tandem rides. That in itself is a safety issue, and I still don't understand why we have the bicycle bill, but that being the case, at least in my world, it's different than being in more urban environments. But I would like to get more input from VDOT, and maybe you can expand on that. I am questioning why we need to be doing safety, because I know VDOT's all about safety, so I need to hear that. Thank you.
We can get Ms. Maxwell to kind of after. So, go ahead, Ms. Maxwell.
Mr. Chair, I apologize. Delegate Rome is correct. We had worked with her for an amendment. Our primary issue at first blush for this bill was that we're creating a new fund for, in essence, an issue that is already addressed by a program that exists in code. And so that was our primary recommendation. Why are we creating a new fund, that would, in essence, address the same things? I did want to make a comment. We understand, and we're looking at the particular issue that Delegate Rome has addressed or raised with regard to her district. We've got staff looking at that particular situation. Over the last several years, the Commonwealth Transportation Board has been addressing safety issues on a very systematic approach. Going to implement and trying to implement those programs and those measures that would provide the most benefit across the Commonwealth, et cetera. In the next couple of years, we anticipate changing that focus to spot improvements, which I think are exactly the situation that Delegate Rome is concerned about. We do have a process now when there are situations where a spot improvement is certainly warranted. We will take that into consideration. There's a process for localities to make that request to VDOT, et cetera. So at the end of the day, and I think there's another concern that's been raised, which is we don't know that is, we're not sure that is the use of, whether those additional funds would ever be made available, et cetera. So for those reasons, we'd attempted to basically amend this bill or work with the patron, but it's also my understanding that there may be some further discussion on that. So.
Thank you. Any other questions for the patron?
Mr. Chair.
Follow-up, Delegate Rome?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to elaborate, Mr. Chairman, just regarding the delegate's question there. So the reason that we even targeted creating a new transportation safety fund as opposed to using the existing highway safety fund is that the highway safety fund, basically, you're dealing with a lot of large-scale projects here as opposed to those individualized ones. So say, for example, somewhere in the city of Winchester or in Frederick County, if you had some area where, say Route 7 and 81 are crossing, or anywhere in the near corridor where you got a traffic light where you've got a lot of crashes per year, and you're like, we could put a modern roundabout there, we could put any of 6 innovative intersection designs there, and we know for a fact it would change it. You could look at a divergent diming interchange the way that we do in Prince William County at 15 and 66, for example, and we know we could get that done. And then you look for every funding source, and then they tell you, well, see, at the regional and state level, they're looking for congestion mitigation as their first one because that's what part of the code is. And on the MVTA, for example, we have to deal with congestion mitigation because it's specified in the code. And so when you're just dealing with congestion first as the top priority, safety does not take top priority based on the Code of Virginia. The point of this is basically saying okay, we don't have specific dedicated funds that are only going to those spot improvements that literally prevent people from getting killed. And so by creating a new fund, it was meant to target that and prioritize safety in a way that the existing funds don't. The next issue that came with it was, well, where are you going to get the money from? Since I've been in the General Assembly, this is my 5th session now, we've gone from funding 1/9 of the actual demands from the localities to funding about 1/7. That's an improvement because we've passed a number of transportation-related bills, whether it was HB 768 from the former Appropriations Chairman, Delegate Chris Jones, whether it was HB 1414 from the Speaker of the House 2 years ago, whether it was the I-81 bill that actually included the amendments that we did a couple of years ago. You probably remember that as well. These have all had things that, you do have a local component to it, but at the same time, what we're really looking for here is what is something else that's going to be specifically dedicated for this very issue. That's why I brought this forward. And whether that means taking 10% of surplus funds, so when years are good, and usually in Virginia, because, regardless of party that's in charge, we usually have very good fiscal management, we tend to run a surplus of some size. And so what I'm suggesting of that is you take 10% of those unobligated funds and you put it toward saving lives in our districts. And again, all of us can think of a dangerous place, right? I've had 3 constituents get killed on either Route 28, one of them, or Route 234 Subley Road in the last year in the run up to this session. I am beyond frustrated with the current system right now, and I want it to change. I also understand that Chairman Austin would prefer the bill be laid on table with a letter to basically implement that change through the appropriations process, and that's fine. I'm willing to take him at his word for it. We also have people who would like to speak today, and what I would very much like to see more or less from the action from the subcommittee and wherever we go forward with this is basically making sure that we are prioritizing the very ideas that we've laid out from lines 22 to 34, however we choose to create that funding.
Thank you, Delegate Rome. And anyone that served in local government shares your frustration. Yep. I'm carrying a bill. Delegate Carr is carrying a bill to reduce speed limits because of the inability for a lot of localities. So believe me, I share your frustration. I have. So with that,
and Mr. Chairman, I'll tell you, Vitaly, in my district, we had a 2019 VDOT study that was completed for Rollins Ford Road, where we're looking for $4.5 million would take care of 3 modern roundabouts in an area where we had a fatality, followed by a school bus crash, followed by a lot of either cars driving off the road because of speeding, colliding into each other, or near misses, to the point where I got parents who don't want to let their kids cross the road to go to Clayton Elementary School because of it. I can't find $4.5 million to fix that, where we spend how much money on other highway projects. That's the point.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Delegate Rome.
Thank you.
Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill? Yes, sir. Yeah.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. I have a letter here I want to read from a private citizen representing Family for Safe Streets.
It's a short one, sorry.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
HB 546, establishing Transportation Safety Fund, would help implement measures that could save lives on Virginia roads, and we need the help. According to the National Safety Council, 403 people were killed on roads in the first 6 months of 2021, which is a 7% increase in fatalities for the same period in 2020. In the month of October 2021, the most recent month of data, 104 died on roads. Virginia was 32% increase from 2019 and a 46% increase in fatalities in October 2020. When traffic levels have begun to return to normal, these were constituents. They were, more importantly, they were parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, and friends. They died in crashes that did not have to happen. In many cases, changes to road design can help improve safety, but these changes often require a monetary investment that is challenging for cities and counties. Many communities throughout the Commonwealth could benefit from the funding that HB 546 to support needed safety improvements and save lives. We're lucky that safe transportation is not a partisan issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jane Terry from Arlington.
All right, thank you. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the bill? We have 2 online. Mike Doyle with the Northern Virginia Families for Safe Streets. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee members. I represent the Northern Virginia Families for Safe Streets, which is in Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, as well as the Richmond Families for Safe Streets. We are mostly concerned citizens, about 1,200 or so members. We're all volunteer group. However, we have a small core of people like myself who have survived crashes, drivers with big SUVs or trucks crashing into people. I'm fortunate in that I recovered. Some of our members have permanently crippled, both physically and cognitively. We also have members that have been killed, and family members who have been killed. What's happened in the pandemic is that we've had an increase in speeding. Even though the miles traveled has gone down, the drivers who are moving faster it become more lethal. Cars are getting bigger. We have a health care problem with traffic violence. We need to address it. This bill will allow some flexibility to it. VDOT historically has been focused on vehicle traffic, not on all mobile road users. We need to make some changes to the roads for the infrastructure. Please consider this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Also, Mr. Alan Muchnick.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Alan Muchnick. Want to thank the patron for introducing this bill. The other previous speakers have identified the problem well, but I just say that we've had, in the last 6 years, traffic fatalities in Virginia have increased by 27%. from 761 or 761 in 2016 to 966. The count has gone up since the first of the year in 2021 as more people have died after the first of the year. Compared to Western Europe, based on the miles traveled, traffic fatalities, the rate of traffic fatalities in United States is about double. We're just not addressing the problem expeditiously, and I know that VDOT would and already does implement a strategic, objective plan to target that money effectively. They just don't have enough money. So thank you very much for considering my comments.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else speak in favor of the bill? Anyone speak in opposition to the bill? Ms. Maxwell, I know you spoke earlier about how it would impact VDOT. Can you, and you know, in serving in local government, I know we have discussed this before, and we've already had this conversation with new Secretary of Transportation, how important it is. They work with our localities for high priority type jobs, in ones dealing with traffic safety, whether it be something, a minimal cost of speed limit reduction, or something that may need to change in the design, and really help and work with localities. And I know that's not we don't have an unlimited amount of funding, but I do think there definitely needs to be improvement. And I ask folks, even my peers that have served in local government, what are some of the frustrations? And VDOT's at the top of the list on roadway safety. When our citizens are dying and they go complain to their local board of supervisor member or their delegate, and then they bring bills forward. So we've got to get out in front of that. I know one of the commitments from the governor was to make streets safer. I know we need to increase more traffic patrols and law enforcement, maybe cite some speeders. I see it. I think we probably all see the increase of speeding over the last year or so on the interstate. So it's a lot of ways we can help improve roadway safety. And I personally kind of struggle with creating a separate fund myself when VDOT should be already working with our localities to help identify and taking their input and help kind of progress some of those with that. So anyone else? So I guess my question is, can we get a commitment from VDOT to work with these localities? And I know the chairman has been instrumental in helping kind of push this with a letter of recommendation to try to help kind of foster a better relationship with our localities to help identify some of these projects.
Mr. Chair, yes, if Chairman Austin, and I have not seen the context or the substance of his letter, but we understand that there is a letter coming and that we are going to be involved in his recommendations based on that letter. But again, I would say we do understand and appreciate some of the comments that have been made today. We recognize that speeds are up, fatalities are up, and we appreciate that. And again, we are, at this point in time, the CTB has implemented a program where they felt they were getting the most for their dollars. But we do understand that there are clearly situations that fall outside the purview of systemic approaches or the systemic approach. And we are currently involved, or we currently have a program, and we'll look at the program where we provide for spot improvements for addressing safety issues and safety situations more carefully.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments or questions for the patron? Committee operates on motions.
I move to lay the bill gently on the table.
Technical question, Mr. Chair?
With a letter from the chairman.
Mr. Chair, would the LIS printed record be able to reflect laid on the table with chairman's letter as it's done previously?
That is the motion, Delegate.
Thank you.
Motion and properly seconded. Could you please record your vote?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
My commitment to and probably help foster a better relationship and really meet the needs of our localities and help with prioritization.
And let's work together offline after session, and let's get something done.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Delegate Keem, I'm sorry. I told you an hour. It's an hour and a half. So.
It's okay. Some of you might remember, I started the morning with some of you in the Transportation Subcommittee. I'm ending with a happy hour shift here. So.
Your House Bill 704.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I was hoping to have an extra week, but hey, I don't control this place. Mr. Chairman, members, first of all, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'm going to make your work a little bit easier by telling you, I have two bills, but on the first one, which is 704, this is a bill that some of you who've been around for a while might remember. I've introduced bills similar to this in the past, and the reason was because it's part of my, as some of you know, I represent the town of Vienna. It's on the town of Vienna's legislative agenda, and we've had some conversations both with NBTA reps and others. What I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay from your subcommittee's perspective, is to, I'm going to strike the bill, but I've talked to our mayor and other town council members, and I've urged them to work with NBTA back home to make sure that there's open channel of communication, so if there are projects that they need special funding for sidewalks and such, that they can do that. So with the understanding that in this venue that both parties are willing to work together, I'd like to ask that we strike 704.
So moved.
All in favor of striking the bill, please?
It's a recorded vote.
Recorded vote.
See, I want to get a unanimous vote. That's why I want to get at least one unanimous vote. Tough crowd.
Vote of 7-0 to strike the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the other bill I have, 707, I'm going to try to keep this simple as well. And I'd like to, before I even get to the substance, I'd like to maybe suggest a potential outcome of this. This is a bill that would add the definition of resiliency and as a factor on smart scale. And you all know, and I know Delegate LaRocque was here earlier, there are many of us that are interested in seeing the smart scale project work in the most effective and efficient way. The issue of adding resiliency is something that myself and Delegate Bloxham and others who serve on the recurrent flooding subcommittee that we've been studying these issues for a while. We've talked about these issues. So this bill is not, I want to make it clear, this bill is not a product of the Flooding Commission because we didn't actually vote on it, but it's something that we've discussed many times. I know that CTB and others are looking into this, and so what I might recommend, and I'd love to have some testimony on this, what I might recommend just from my perspective is, given that CTB is working on this issue now, and I know Ms. Maxwell can speak to this, they're looking to come up with some definition in the next few months. I wonder if it might be appropriate to maybe continue this bill so that the vehicle is out there on this issue, so that next year when we come back, if we want to have some legislation on that, at least my bill would be a starting point for that. So that would be just for food for thought. But what I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, is rather than me explaining the bill and the need for it, I'd like to ask one of my other colleagues who serves on the joint subcommittee on flooding, recurrent flooding, Mr. Chris Stone, who happens to be an engineer who understands this stuff way better than I can.
Question for the delegate.
Yes, sir.
Leave, Delegate King. Would you be amenable to asking, how long has Smart Scale been in process? It's been 8 years, 8 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that this is probably, with these type of issues that we've heard this over the past hour, would be the time to say we might need to just revisit Smart Scale, just look at it and see how it's done over the 8 years.
Yes,
it's far better than what we had before. I would say it's miles ahead of what we had before, but there's always, I think audits are a good thing. So I would say with this is I would rather gently lay the bill on the table, but with a letter from the chairman let's really look at Smart Scale and look at the last 8 years and see how we can improve it going forward, including resiliency and other issues that we just talked about. Yes.
Mr. Chair. Yes, sir. I'd be happy to accommodate whatever motion you'd like, but can I just suggest if I can have Mr. Stone, he's been patiently waiting here, to maybe present his testimony, and then we can proceed to the motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Delegate Keem. Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Stone. I'm a licensed professional engineer. I do serve on the joint subcommittee with Delegate Keem. It's been my honor to do so for the last year. I'm also the 2022 Chamber of Commerce, Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce Chair. So this is an important issue for not only the Commonwealth, but also for those of us in Hampton Roads area with the chamber. So I know you're going to lay it on the table, but I'll give you my comments anyway since I took 5 minutes to write them out. But the goal of resilience is to keep critical infrastructure systems operating throughout a hazardous event. Given today's increasing climate concerns and the possibility of increased impacts from natural disasters, it is more important than ever for Virginia's infrastructure to be resilient. According to NOAA, before 2017, $1 billion weather and climate disasters occurred every 48 days. Since 2017, these $1 billion events now occur every 17 days. And this is not just a coastal issue, as flooding in the southwestern, western, and northern portions of the state have experienced the largest loss of life and property due to riverine flooding, along with costly damage and disruption to the transportation infrastructure network. So including resiliency and transportation planning, it's supported by the American Society of Civil Engineers, the Federal Highway Administration, the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, and is required under the FAST Act. The bill has no physical impact. I'm just hoping that you would look at it favorably because in all intents and purposes, we are here to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Delegate Reed, you have a comment or question?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman, and I really do appreciate Delegate Keene bringing this, and we had other people talking about resiliency earlier, and also Delegate Bloxham's comments about that this has been 8 years. I know that there's a general hesitancy to go back into smart scale and change things because it has been so successful, but it probably is time that if we're getting at the 8-year mark, almost a decade of that success, to look and see how the environment and the transportation network has changed. So I really do commend you on bringing this forward, and I look forward to us being able to work going forward on figuring out what's the next best thing for smart scale.
A smarter scale.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you think you have a motion on the floor, is that correct?
He hadn't yet, but yeah.
Yeah, the motion is to pass by with a letter.
Okay. And do we have a second? Second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
That's